Hi, my name is my name is Rod Shutt. I am the Western Washington Assistance Coordinator for the Prescription Drug Assistance Network, which is a program of the Prescription Drug Assistance Foundation that is a small Washington State nonprofit. And what our job is to help people figure out ways to get medication they can't afford. Um, so, with that being said, got a little presentation that talks about the different kinds of assistance. And then at the end, contact information for me for Western Washington and my colleague Kelly Armstrong on the eastern side of the state. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I believe it's got it. There we go. Okay, so you guys should be seeing the title slide, which says new and updated 10/29/25. I worked on this a little bit this morning. There's not like a whole lot of changes, but some are key. So we'll go ahead and get started with this. So if you are helping somebody pick out a drug plan, or if somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I've got a new medication and I cannot afford it. What am I going to do?" Well, of course, let's see here. The very first thing you want to do is to check to see if they're eligible for any government programs. These would be LIS, MSP, Medicaid, Medicaid Classic. If the person has, whoops, hang on. If the person has employer-sponsored or exchange plans, you won't see very many of these. There are manufacturer copay cards that might be available. There's one instance where this might cross your desk, and we'll talk about that later. The main thing that we deal with are manufacturer patient assistance programs. And these are mainly for uninsured people, but quite often for people with Medicare drug coverage. The other thing is private copay assistance foundation grants. These are disease-based and are for people with Medicare and sometimes for people with other kinds of insurance. They are not for people who do not have insurance. There are discount cards and discount coupons, and this is for just about anybody. Sometimes they can be cheaper than insurance. You can use them instead of insurance. You cannot combine them with insurance. And then there are discount online pharmacies, which usually do not process insurance claims, although I think that Amazon is now contracted with some insurance companies. So, government assistance. This is basically your guys' sandbox. Low-income subsidy, Medicare savings programs. I'm not going to go over this much because you know it. Medicaid, the classic age, blind, and disabled, which is Medicaid with a spend down. Once again, this is something that you guys deal with. Apple Health is for people who are not Medicaid or Medicare eligible. So it's probably not going to be people that you're going to be dealing with, but here's a little bit of information on it in case you're interested. So manufacturer copay assistance. These are like the copay cards that you go to the website for the for the medication, and there'll be a thing that says, savings a tab that says savings, and you click on it, and there'll be, a thing that says pay $5 for your prescription for whatever. Generally speaking, this kind of thing is not available to people with Medicare. The only time that you're going to find this applicable is when a patient has Medicare like A or A and B, and a retirement um, coverage that covers their drugs. In those instances, the copay card might be something they can use. It's going to vary by manufacturer. Some will let you, some won't. Some say if you've got any kind of Medicare at all, no. But some say, yeah, if Medicare doesn't pay for this prescription, then yes. So that's when this might work. That's the only time. So the thing that we really get to play with, though, is the manufacturer patient assistance programs. And these have been around for a very long time. They're primarily, they were designed for people who are uninsured, but there's a lot of them that will help people with Medicare. And these are for brand name medications. There's always a means test for these. Usually, it's going to be an income test. It's not an asset test. And 100 to 600% of federal poverty level. That is usually 300% is kind of like where most of them are. Some are 400, very few are higher than that. Enrollment for people who are uninsured, it's a rolling 12 months. For people who are on Medicare, it will be based on a calendar year. For some that have, for some programs that have helped Medicare patients in the past to get some medications, there are changes in medications that they're providing. Some have changed income requirements. And we can talk about that a little bit when we get into the different types of medication, or the different medications later in the presentation. Some of them have additional eligibility requirements for Medicare patients. Usually it is that there is an out-of-pocket requirement. You can kind of think of it like a spend down or a deductible. Also, they're going to require that you are ineligible for LIS. So if your income qualified for LIS, but you have assets, you're going to need a denial letter to submit with the application. There is a limited number of programs that will help with, they don't really care what kind of insurance you is. Usually there's procedures that they have to go through and stuff. But there's a couple of programs like that. Information on all of these programs, the best source I have found for that is needymeds.org. So if you go to look at that, you search for the name of the med, it will tell you whether or not there is a program and what the requirements are, that kind of thing. It's kind of a clearinghouse. Okay. The next thing I look for is private copay assistance foundation grants. These are based on diseases. So there will be a disease fund. The foundation has like a disease fund. Let's say it's for asthma. Okay, that's one that gets a lot of work, and they will get an influx of money into the fund, and usually from drug manufacturers. And then they will open the fund to new grantees, and they will start making grants out of that fund. Once that money has been fully allocated, they close the fund for new grantees until more money is available. These are usually distributed as a pharmacy card that is billed secondary to the insurance. So, the pharmacist will bill the insurance first and then bill the remaining amount to the pharmacy card from the foundation. These are also means tested through income, usually 300 to 500% of FPL. One thing that the foundations generally do is make small adjustments in that, depending upon your zip code. So high cost areas might see a little bump on that FPL, just to account for the fact that in Seattle or other places like that, it's expensive to live. Yeah, no asset test. It's basically income only. The best place to get information on these is at fundfinder.org. You've got to set up an account there to get into it, but it lists all of the conditions, and you click on it, the disease, and it opens up a page that tells you the foundations that make these grants, whether or not they have money available, that kind of thing. Okay. Discount cards and coupons. These are everywhere. There's about 1 million different discount cards that you can find at the doctor's office, at pharmacies, at the grocery store, pretty much anywhere. You can, even if you have insurance, you can use these. You can't use them with your insurance. You can either use your insurance or you can use the discount card. Sometimes it's cheaper to use the discount card. You need to proactively tell the pharmacist, I do not want to use my insurance for this medication. Because what will happen is you will hand that discount card to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist will say, you can't use this, you have insurance. Well, you can't use it with your insurance. You can use it instead of your insurance. Some coupons are, and this happens with GoodRx coupons. It's the only place I've seen it. They have like special deals with the manufacturers, I think, and some coupons can't be used with people who have Medicare. So if you are using a coupon that is not GoodRx, you're probably good. If it is GoodRx, you should check the coupon just to make sure there's nothing on it that says you can't use this if you have Medicare. These are best for generic medications. The discounts that you get for these for brand name medications are not that significant. It's like, 10 to 20% off, that kind of thing, which is not much, or it's a lot, but brand name medications are really expensive. So the 3 best places I have found to get these coupons are GoodRx, Single Care, and Array RX card. I would, if you've got an expensive generic, I would definitely recommend checking these out. You certainly might save some money for them. Discount pharmacies, that's another good place to go. There are RX Outreach, which is a nonprofit mail order pharmacy. There is Cost Plus Drugs, which is the Mark Cuban online pharmacy, and the Amazon pharmacy. They've re-entered this this market, and for some medications, they have pretty good prices. The retail pharmacies, chain pharmacies, Walmart, Safeway, Target, Walgreens, CVS, most of them have like low cost formularies. So they're going to have like real cheap generics for some medications. So, you know, usually they're not going to be cheaper than Medicare drug coverage for these specific medications. So, but it's worth a look. Okay. Insulin. Insulin isn't nearly the huge deal that it used to be. You know, the $35 a month cap for insulin that was instituted for Medicare has really made this less of an issue. However, insulins are still available from manufacturer assistance programs. And especially for people who are not like low income, but who still have trouble meeting, you know, meeting ends at the end of the month. This might be an option for people to get their insulin for free. You know, income limits for all the programs for this are 400% of federal poverty level. So it's not hard to qualify. If somebody's on 2 or 3 insulin, or actually, usually it's no more than 2. If somebody's on 2 insulins, that's $70 a month. You know, that's a chunk of change for a lot of people. So this is an option. For non-insulin injectables, this would be the Ozempic, the Trulicity, Victoza, Mounjaro, those kind of things. Okay. Unfortunately, there is no help for the GLP-1s for people with Medicare. You know, when they first came out, there was a huge shortage, and some of the big names decided they were not going to make these medications available through their assistance programs. Novo Nordisk did have Ozempic available. For next year, that is not going to be the case. So, you know, sorry, but that's just not going to happen. Oral medications. Oral diabetic medications are available from AstraZeneca, Boehringer, and Merck. Income limits are 300% for AstraZeneca and Merck, and Boehringer, it is 250%. Merck has a few hoops that you have to jump through to get the medication, but it's doable. So if anybody needs help with that, let me know. Okay, then inhalers. Okay. AstraZeneca has a couple of inhalers that are available. It's easy to get, 300% of federal poverty level. GSK, which really has the most inhalers out there, and that's what a lot of doctors like to prescribe, are available, but once again, there is this like out-of-pocket requirement that the patient have spent $600 on all of their prescriptions before they're eligible, and that's in the calendar year they're applying for. Boehringer Ingelheim does not have an out-of-pocket requirement, but the income limit is low. It's 200% of federal poverty level. So there's not a lot of room between that and 150% for LIS. So anyway, if you have somebody that is in that, Boehringer Ingelheim is a good option for them. Okay, so anticoagulants. Oh gosh. So um, Brilinta is actually not an anticoagulant. It is an antiplatelet, and there are differences how these things work. Um, Everyone and their brother is on Eliquis or Xarelto, mostly Eliquis. And Eliquis is the bane of my existence. Um, the program that provides Eliquis um, will help people, but they have to have spent 3%. The household has to have spent 3% of the household's gross annual income out of pocket since January 1st before they're eligible. So if you have a household of has an income of $30,000, the patient is not eligible to get the medication through the program until the household has spent $900. Um, and if it's um, you know, $40,000, then it would be like what, three times, um, it would be $1,200. So, it can be an extreme barrier to getting people on this program. Xarelto is even worse. It's 4%. And so usually I tell people that are asking about Xarelto to consider the Eliquis program because it is a little bit easier to get on. Also, Xarelto has a generic. It's not really cheaper because formulation of the medication, how it's dosed is uh, it's close to the brand name to get the right dose. The pills are a very small dose. So, all right. So, do all programs have financial eligibility requirements? Yes. The only thing that doesn't are the manufacturer copay cards. Um, and the manufacturer copay cards and the discount coupons, discount pharmacies. Those do not have financial requirements. What about citizenship? This isn't going to be an issue that you deal with because if somebody has Medicare, um, they're here legally. So I don't need to worry about that. How to get help. So if you're in Eastern Washington, you can reach out to my colleague in Spokane, Kelly Armstrong. This is her contact information, and provide as much information as you can about the patient. Okay. If you're in Western Washington, this is me. You can call me, you can email me. If you want to, you can fax me. And once again, as much information about the patient and the situation as possible. I will reach out to the patient and have a conversation with them and, see what is the best thing that we can do. If you want to be looped back in to find out what the situation is, how we resolved this, then make that referral directly to me and include information on how I can get back to you. Either email me or call me and leave me a phone number where I can reach you back. Otherwise, if you're just passing this person off to me, you can just give them my contact information and they will call me, I will help them, and that'll be it. I won't be able to trace them back to you. So, and I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, make sure to reach out to me. Let's see. I think that's it. I
All right.
think that,
I'll stop the recording.
okay.